Oh, man. All right. Well, that is just way too much fun. And so, here we are. Thanksgiving has come and it is gone. And I hope that you had an absolutely wonderful holiday. Thanksgiving is a really great time to be reminded to be grateful and thankful and appreciative for all the things that we have, the people that we have in our lives, the tremendous, all the great gifts that God has given to us, and the blessings that we have in life. And thankfully, it's over now, so we don't have to do that anymore. Showing gratitude is really great for a week or, a day, a weekend, or let's be real, one afternoon for the most part, to be quite fair. But, now that day is over and we don't have to do that anymore. Now, obviously, hopefully you guys know I'm kidding. In fact, anybody who knows me at all knows that Thanksgiving is one of my favorite holidays of all time. And so I'm kidding, but isn't it a little bit interesting? It's kind of amazing to me how quickly we go from being so grateful for everything to not being able to show gratitude for really much of anything. And I'm going to let you in on a little bit of a secret. The secret is saying I'm thankful doesn't mean that you actually are. Saying in a pre-Thanksgiving prayer, God, we're just so grateful for everything that you have done for us, everything that you have provided. Saying that doesn't actually mean that you really are grateful. And there are a few things that can hurt in the way that experiencing an ungrateful person can hurt. Have you ever done something nice for somebody and you didn't expect anything in return from them, but the other person was just really unappreciative? Not a single thank you or, hey, that was really nice. I really appreciate what you did for me. Just nothing at all. They just really seemed like they didn't even care, not appreciative. You ever experienced anything like that before? That can be kind of hurtful. And it's a really weird feeling that we experience when that happens, right? Because ingratitude can be expressed through words, but sometimes it's actually a lack of words. And it can be expressed through action, but most of the time it's really a lack of action. And we don't really even know what to feel when we experience that. And we almost never miss ingratitude when we are the targets of an ungrateful person. But we are rarely aware of it when we are the perpetrators. We never miss it when someone is ungrateful toward us, but we rarely see it at all when we are being ungrateful. In fact, if you have ever been accused of being ungrateful, you probably immediately got defensive. And that's okay. I understand. It's a natural, normal thing. We all have experienced it because you get told that you're being ungrateful and you feel like you're being accused of not feeling something. And you immediately think, how can that person tell me that I don't feel grateful? What do they know? They don't know whether I feel it or not. But the issue is you're not being accused of not feeling something. So, we immediately jump, right, to defend all those grateful thoughts and feelings we have, but the problem is you're not being accused of not feeling it. Chances are you felt it. Maybe you didn't, but most likely you felt it. But it's a good thing. It's good that you feel gratitude, but it's not enough to feel it. You've got to express it. Being grateful can boost a relationship. It can build people up. It can really pump you up. It can galvanize and connect people together. But being ungrateful has the power to shut down an entire relationship. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to squash the elephant in the room right now before we even get too far with it. No one thinks that they are ungrateful. I've heard lots of people confess a lot of things and confess sins and confess doing things that they know that they shouldn't have done, things that could have gotten them in a lot of trouble. And I've heard, believe me, a lot of different things. But you know what no one ever says? I've never heard somebody say, you know what I think my problem is? I am just a really ungrateful person. No one ever says that. And while ingratitude is at the heart of many of the relational issues we experience, and while everybody knows someone who is ungrateful, nobody thinks that they are. So, of course, naturally, I chose the time on the calendar when everybody is like, of course, I'm grateful. I've never been more grateful than I am right now. I chose that time to talk about gratitude. It makes a lot of sense, right? But there is a story that is captured by Luke, one of the people who was following Jesus, that shows the importance of expressing gratitude. And that's in Luke chapter 17. That's where we're going to go this morning. And we're going to start in verse 11. We're going to read about this interaction that Luke records that Jesus had with a group of guys. So Luke chapter 17, starting in verse 11, it says this. Now on his way to Jerusalem, Jesus traveled along the border between Samaria and Galilee. As he was going into a village, 10 men who had leprosy met him. They stood at a distance. They called out in a loud voice, Jesus, Master, have pity on us. So Jesus runs into 10 men with leprosy outside of town because back then, people who had leprosy would have been kicked out of the community. They'd be sent out of the city or the village and forced to kind of all live together like, some kind of medically exiled community, because that's pretty much exactly what was going on. They believed that leprosy was contagious, and so they had to get those people away from the rest of the population. And then they could just kind of stick them all together because, they all already had the disease, so who cares? Just put them all together. If leprosy, this terrible disease, if that wasn't bad enough, you immediately became an outcast as well. No family contact, no job, no connections really with any other people. In fact, in some parts of the world, people with leprosy had to go around and ring a bell or shout unclean everywhere that they went so that no one would even inadvertently get too close to them. Leprosy also meant that you were a religious outcast as well. It was considered to be a mark that God was unpleased with you. That God was displeased with you. You must have done something horribly wrong. God must really, they'd probably step short of saying God hates you, but really close to that. God really must have a problem with you if you ended up with leprosy. At least that's what was thought. And as a result, you were considered to be ceremonially unclean and you could not participate in temple worship. So even if you wanted to go to the temple and pray and beg and ask God to heal you, you couldn't do that. It was truly a very difficult situation to be in. So these 10 guys, they're all together. They're outside of the city. They see Jesus walking toward the village and they call out to him, Jesus, Master, have pity on us. And think about it, right? Put yourself in Jesus' shoes for a second. You've been walking for miles, right? And, you come to this border community between Samaria and Jerusalem, and you want to take a break. Maybe, these guys don't even wait long enough for you to get into town and get a drink of water before they want something from you. Jesus could have easily been like, look, guys, just give me a second, right? I just want to get into town. It's hot. I'm tired. I've been walking all day. Just let me get into town, grab a drink of water, maybe take a breath for a second. I will come right back. I promise I'll come back. In fairness, right, Jesus could have just completely ignored them. That wouldn't have been unusual to them. That would have been what everybody else was doing to them, except for the few that maybe stopped by to make fun of them. Everyone else is just ignoring them and trying to stay as far away from them as they could. But Jesus takes the time, he stops, and he responds to them. In verse 14, it says, when he saw them, he said, go and show yourselves to the priests. Now, the reason that he did this is because while there was nothing that could really be done for a person with leprosy, medically speaking, there was no cure, there was really not even hardly any treatments of any real kind. However, on occasion, a person's leprosy would just go away. It would either just heal up on its own, or it might heal supernaturally. I mean, Jesus himself healed a number of people from leprosy. So something like that could have happened. And if a person with leprosy thought that their leprosy had gone away, or that they felt like they had been healed from it, the first thing that they were supposed to do was go and present themselves to the priest so that the priest could check them out and then make a declaration of whether or not it was okay for them to reintegrate with the community again. Now, Jesus' instruction is so odd, however, because the only thing these men could show the priests at this moment was their leprosy. I mean, they wouldn't want to do that, right? I mean, think about that. They've already been ostracized, kicked out of town, told that they're not allowed to be around anybody, probably made fun of a little bit, and treated like they must be these horrible, awful, wicked people to even have it in the first place. There's no way that they would want to relive that. And at this particular moment, they still have leprosy. They wouldn't want to go back and show that to the priest and walk through town, ringing that bell, shouting unclean. But what Jesus was asking them to do is he was asking them to have a little faith. And the interesting thing to me that's not even remotely, explained or elaborated on at this point is the fact that they did. They had the faith, and they did exactly what he said without hesitation, without saying, hey, we can't do that, but if you come and heal us first, then we could go and we could see the priest. That would be okay. Without any kind of rebuttal at all, they just go. I mean, imagine that. These people thought to be spiritually unclean. They're going around ringing a bell, shouting unclean everywhere that they go. They had faith and they obeyed. In verse 14, it continues on and it says that as they went, they were cleansed. This is how we know that they weren't healed right at that moment when Jesus spoke to them, right? And so, Jesus didn't go over and touch them. They didn't come over and grab a hold of his coat or anything like that we know of. It says that on their way, as they were going to see the priest, they were cleansed. And now, Jesus had to know, right? Like, it doesn't take the all-knowing power of God to think that as soon as these guys get to the priest is going to be like, hold on, wait a second, what happened? I mean, one person, maybe two people healed of leprosy, like I could maybe see that kind of thing happening, but 10 of you? Yeah, I need to know what happened here, right? And then maybe, just maybe, these guys might get the opportunity to say to the priest, yeah, we ran into Jesus, and he told us to come and see you. We thought that was kind of weird, but we did, and on our way to come and see you, our leprosy just went away. Now, maybe that happened, maybe it didn't, but who wouldn't ask, right? If you're the priest, you're going to ask and be like, how did this happen, right? You got to think that he probably asked. I would have asked. Now, at any rate, there are a lot of things happening here, right? 10 men. And Jesus tells them to go and do what you would do if your leprosy had gone away. But at that moment, it hadn't. They still had leprosy. And they had faith. They obeyed, and they were healed by Jesus. But here is where the story really gets interesting. I know you might be thinking, what do you mean the part where Jesus heals 10 guys of leprosy? That's not the interesting part? Yes, of course. That is the lead story here. But this is, to me, where the story really gets interesting. In verse 15, it says that one of them, when he saw he was healed, came back, praising God in a loud voice. He threw himself at Jesus' feet, and he thanked him. And he was a Samaritan. So one guy comes back. 1 out of 10. One guy. But look at this guy's response. He's praising God with a loud voice. He threw himself down at the feet of Jesus in this overwhelming display of gratitude, and he thanks him. And Luke even thought it relevant to let us know that this guy wasn't even a Jew. He was a Samaritan. Now, I don't even have time to dig into the significance of that, but I want you to take a moment at some point today and think about the significance of the fact that not the 9 Jewish elite guys who have been, preparing their entire lives for the Messiah to come. They've been passing stories down from generation to generation about be on the lookout for the Messiah to show up. None of those guys came back to say thank you. But this one godless Samaritan man is the one that returns to express gratitude. And when he finishes thanking him, Jesus asks a very important, albeit very simple question. In verse 17, it says, Jesus asked, "Were not all 10 cleansed? Where are the other 9?" See, Jesus points out that there is something wrong here. And it is that tension that we feel in so many of our relationships. The unexpressed gratitude is like a circle that is left unclosed, like these. Right? These pictures, I hear laughing. These pictures are infuriating to someone out there, aren't they? There's somebody out there that's like, man, would you just finish the circle? Why is that so hard? Ingratitude is like the circle on a loading screen, right? It just spins and spins and spins. It never catches itself. I don't know how that's even possible, but it just keeps spinning and spinning and spinning. It drives me crazy. Am I the only person that like drives me completely nuts? Like, why doesn't it actually ever catch up? It just doesn't. Only 1 out of the 10 men closed the circle. And then in verse 18, Jesus asks a follow-up question. He says, "Has no one returned to give praise to God except this foreigner?" And then he said to him, "Rise and go, your faith has made you well." He asks, has no one returned? Other translations say, has no one been found? The other 9 guys are literally nowhere to be found. They are gone. I mean, probably just moved on with life. Maybe even shouting and being excited, but they are gone, nowhere to be found. Now, it's a pretty natural response to hearing this story to think, wow, man, those other 9 guys are just really, really so ungrateful. I mean, how could that be? How could that be? These guys were given so much. I mean, Jesus just gave them their lives back. He just gave them their careers back. I mean, he just gave them their families back. They haven't been able to go and spend time with their families. He just gave them contact with their family back. How could they be so ungrateful? But here's what I find interesting. We wouldn't consider this a story about ingratitude if none of them had come back. If none of them had returned, we would never even think that this is a story about being ungrateful. I mean, Jesus sent them away to be healed. If the story ended with them going off to see the priest and Jesus never sees them again, he would know that they were healed, right? I mean, Jesus knows everything. And we, even today, reading the story, would just be like, wow, man, that's amazing. That's cool. Jesus just healed all 10 of those guys from leprosy all at once. Didn't even go up to them. He just said it and it happened, right? Cool, awesome, amazing story. Moving on. What else you got? You know how I know that? Read the accounts of Jesus' life. He heals a lot of people who never come back to say thank you. And we never thought twice about it. This is only a story about ingratitude because one of them came back. Now, let me ask you a hypothetical question real quick. If you had caught one of those other 9 men and asked them, hey, are you grateful for what just happened? What do you think that they would say? Yes, absolutely. Yes, of course. I mean, most likely they would say, yes, we are so thankful. We are incredibly grateful. I'm sure that they would have said yes. In fact, they could have likely detailed the many grateful thoughts and feelings that they had. They had no idea that there was an unclosed circle. They had no idea that they had been ungrateful. In fact, if you told them that they were being ungrateful, they probably would have said that you were wrong because they felt it. They just never expressed it. And meanwhile, Jesus is standing back with the one non-Jewish guy like, weren't there 10? I thought for sure that there were 10. Guys, is my counting off? There were 10, right? Like, what happened to the other guys? Where are the other guys? They felt it. They just didn't express it. And this is what is standing in the way of many of our relationships, right? You tell your boss how great your spouse is. You tell your friends how great your kids are. You tell your mom how great your dad is. You tell your dad how great your mom is. You tell your kids how much you love and appreciate their mother or their father. At least I hope that you do. You should. Because you feel it. You tell other people about it. But have you told them? Have you actually told the person that you are grateful for? And the reason that this stands in the way of our relationships, the reason that this has the power to just dismantle a relationship is because unexpressed gratitude communicates ingratitude. When you don't express gratitude, it says to the other person that you are ungrateful. Think about this the next time you feel gratitude. The gratitude that you feel but don't express is felt by someone as ingratitude. And again, this is a natural thing that just kind of happens, right? We have this tendency to just move on with life. We move forward. We may be happy and excited, but we don't stop and take the time to express that gratitude. But it actually gets much worse. See, unexpressed gratitude communicates ingratitude, which is experienced as rejection. Unexpressed gratitude is experienced as rejection. What happens out there, dads out there? What happens when, you go to work and you work long, hard, busy days to provide for your family and your kids? They're normal kids, but they're constantly asking for one thing after the next, right? Dad, can I have $20? Dad, can I go to prom? Dad, I need a dress to go to prom. Can we rent a car? Can I have a new video game system or the last game that just came out? Or can you replace the phone that I just broke for the third time? Like, you are just shelling out cash. You're just a walking, breathing ATM. And if someone said to your kids, you have such a great dad, aren't you grateful for a dad that's always providing for what you need? They would say, most likely, they would say, yes, yeah, of course. Yeah, we have a great dad, man. Our dad is awesome. He's the best. He's always given us everything that we need. We never have to worry about anything. We love our dad. Of course we appreciate him. But because no one asks them, the gratitude is never expressed, and you feel rejected, don't you, Dad? And the same is true for moms, right? Maybe that exact same scenario. Maybe you've experienced something just like that. Maybe you're the ATM in your house. Or maybe, you prepare a meal, you cook dinner, and the family just comes from every direction, and they're coming in from outside and down from upstairs and up from the basement, and they sit down, and they're scarfing down the food because it's legitimate, it's really good. They are enjoying it, they are liking it, and they are just wolfing down the food. And then as fast as they came, they're gone. It's like the Tasmanian devil showed up, and it's just dishes and chaos everywhere. And a cloud of smoke, nobody to be seen. If in that moment someone said, Mom made such a great meal. Aren't you grateful to have a mom that makes such good food? And it's just ready for us. You don't have to do anything for it. It's just ready to go. They would all say, yes, of course, man. We have the best mom. You're awesome. High five, Mom. The food was so good. We love you. You're incredible. But no one asks, and the gratitude is felt, but it's never expressed, and you feel rejected. And unexpressed gratitude communicates ingratitude, which is experienced as rejection. And over time, unexpressed gratitude also has the same result as rejection. What happens when you feel rejected, right? We are repelled by rejection. We naturally and we emotionally withdraw and detach from environments that have rejection or from people who we feel have rejected us. We move away from situations like that. And ingratitude produces the same reaction. Over time, unexpressed gratitude drives people's hearts out of the relationship. So who comes to mind for you? Who are the people that you know you are incredibly grateful for? You feel it, you just haven't expressed it. Because unexpressed gratitude is ingratitude, which causes somebody to experience rejection, which is the opposite of what you want a person that you feel grateful for to experience. I mean, you don't want them to experience that, right? So, and go with me for a second, right? The next time you're at a little kid's birthday party, go with me there in your minds. We get a kid, he's tearing open the gifts, ripping them apart. After he opens up a gift, the kid's mom always says the same 4 words. What do they say? What do you say? I heard somebody say it. What do you say, right? Every time the kid opens up a gift, he starts reaching for the next gift, and mom is like, what do you say? The next time you hear those 4 words, it should tell you that mom knows that there is an unclosed circle here and that you need to close it. See, in a picture, it's infuriating, just really frustrating. But in a relationship, it is catastrophically damaging. And let this remind you to close the circle. Don't leave the circle of gratitude unclosed. Feeling it and not expressing it will leave the circle open, potentially for someone else to close it. And we don't want that to happen. So here is the conclusion that I've come to after studying this. Because expressing gratitude, it requires humility. It demands that we have it. You're not going to be able to do it honestly unless you have some humility. It requires us to stop being entitled people who feel like we are owed good from everyone around us and instead humble ourselves. It requires genuinely caring about the people around you more than you care about your own ego. So the conclusion that I have come to is that for me, to refuse to pay my debts of gratitude is to live with an inflated view of myself. That's what I've realized. Unexpressed gratitude may indicate an inflated view of self. If I'm unable or unwilling to express gratitude, it might indicate that I think a little bit too much of myself. See, arrogance and ingratitude, they go together. They are a perfect pair. They love each other. They never express it, but they love each other. Arrogant people are ungrateful people. Arrogance says, I'm the boss, I'm the man, I'm the father, I'm the mother, I'm the teacher, I'm the leader, I'm the supervisor, so I deserve your obedience. You will obey me because you must. And none of that communicates gratitude. And we have so much to be thankful for. The reality is no one owes you anything. And we have a lot to be grateful for. But see, expressing gratitude, it closes the loop, right? Gratitude expresses that we have life in its proper perspective. Expressing gratitude recognizes that we are dependent on others in so many ways. And we truly are. It's like throwing yourself down at their feet and saying, I could not have gotten to where I am without you. And it's not a sign of weakness. Please don't let people make you feel like expressing thankfulness or gratitude to other people is showing some kind of weakness. We all have people that we depend on. Every single one of us has people that we depend on. And it takes strength to do that. And it takes strength to actually be able to express that and say thank you to people. So, gratitude. It's not enough to feel it. You've got to express it. When it's not expressed, it communicates ingratitude. So, will you be the 9 or will you be the one that returned?